married name is Mrs. Gina Skorenberg. My maiden name was Golda Abromavici. I was born in April 1930, 27, month 27.
And where were you born?
In Iași,
Which is in the country of?
Romania.
Can you tell us a little bit about your childhood?
Yes, I had a decent and happy childhood till before the war. The war started in 1940, and in 41, that's when the Germans came, and they had started a pogrom.
Okay, when you were a child, did you have brothers or sisters?
Yes, I have one brother. When I had two brothers, one died as a baby, about 3 or 4.
Was he older
No.
or younger?
He was
The brother that was living?
He was younger than me. I was the oldest of the family.
And what kind of school did you go to?
I went just for 3 grades to the Romanian public school, and the 4th grade I finished in the wartime in a Jewish school, because we couldn't go to any other school. They threw us out. So I had this is the most that I could go to, 4th grade.
And what kind of work did your father do?
My father was a manager of a department store for his uncle. And Iași.
So if you were describing the kind of life you had before the war.
It was a good life, a life with family, with everything what we could want.
Did you have other family that lived in the same town?
Yes, all the uncles and aunts and cousins, we all lived in the same town, in the same neighborhoods.
Okay, and then that changed. Can
Yeah,
you tell
in
us?
1940 everything changed. It started even before, but in 1940 that's when it was. In 1941 the Germans came in, and we didn't even know it was a Sunday, and we didn't expect anything. They just came to every house and they threw us out just like animals from the houses on the street. Children, anybody, women, children, men, and we didn't know where we were going. And when the first part of the people came to the mayor of the city, the mayor didn't know what happened, and he started giving papers to go home, that they are free to go home. And when the Germans saw what they were doing, they stopped it right away. And they said that all the children and women, they can go back, and all the men and young men they took. We didn't know where. And
About how old were you at this time?
I was, in 1941, I was 11 years old. And we went back home, and my father's brother had a paper to get home. He came home, and by that time we knew something was going on, and we begged him to hide. But he didn't want to. He said he had to go look for his brother. There were 5 brothers.
Okay, let's go on right now.
And he had to go look for his brother, and we begged him not to. And as we begged him not to, they came again and they took him. And we never seen any of him back. We don't even know.
On the table. Paper.
We don't even know where their graves are or anything, because they were put in trains, and that's where they died. Just a few survivors. That's what the ones who survived, but not many. Just very few.
It was all the men and the boys.
Yeah, And the women and children, they said they'll die anyway because we won't give them jobs, we won't give them food, which it was true. And we weren't allowed to walk on the main streets. If we wanted to walk someplace, we had to walk just on the back streets. And we couldn't get no food. My mother had to go steal in the middle of the night or in the morning something from the farms. And if she would have got caught, they would have killed her. But she had 2 children. And we didn't live in houses and where we used to live because they took everything away from us. And we lived in basements, not like we have here, but basements with dirt on the floor. And it was, I don't know how many people, one on top of the other. And we just totally deteriorated. We were swollen, we were dirty, we were hungry. And if the war wouldn't have been finished in 45, I mean, we wouldn't have survived because that was the end, for us.
When you were in these basements, is this in Yash?
Yeah, that was mostly in ghettos, where they would, from one place to the other, they would, we never would know where we would wind up. And by the end, we wound up back where not where we used to live originally, but, where when they threw us out from our house, we kind of rented an apartment. And by the time the war ended, we ended up there in that basement where we used to live once upon a time.
Now, when the Germans came and the men were taken away and you were living in ghetto-type existence, always in Yash? Were you moving around?
Yeah, in Yash. A lot of people were sent to Transnistria. That was a camp. But we weren't because they said it's no reason for us. They didn't want to spend money. They said it's not necessary because we'll be gone anyway. And
so what was your daily life like?
Daily life was very... We couldn't function normal. We couldn't eat, we couldn't sleep, we couldn't wash, we couldn't do anything. We just were scared. Sometimes my mother would send me, before we were using the stars, the yellow stars, sometimes she would send me to stay in line for some food. If I was lucky, nobody would know me, then maybe I would get something. But then when we started wearing the yellow stars, then we couldn't go no place because they would recognize us and we couldn't get no food or anything. And mostly we would hide. That was our main goal, to hide from the Germans and to do what we could. I mean, we were children, of course, and my brother, he's younger, 7 years younger. He didn't understand that much, but I understood everything, and it was harder for me to...
Were there other people that you were with all this time?
Yeah, it was. I had an aunt who was with us all the time. The other aunts, they were in different places, different ghettos. And sometimes we would see him, sometimes we wouldn't, And we couldn't go see him. We couldn't go no place because we weren't allowed even to take a trolley, Or if we took our chances to go any place, would have to be in the back streets, and we were afraid because as soon as they would see us, they would harass us or beat us or do anything they wanted to, and we couldn't defend ourselves. So that was the daily lives.
How did your mother manage?
Managed very hard, very bad. We didn't have much. We didn't have anything, because when they took us from our home, they were dividing everything what we had. Everybody, even people that we knew and we thought we knew, neighbors, they were standing around and saying, I'm going to take the bedroom, and I'm going to take the dining room, and I'm going to take... And we knew where it was, but we didn't care about that as much as...
You mean when the Germans came, the friends, so-called friends, stood right there in front of you and told you?
They said what they're going to do. And we knew where it was, but that wasn't the worst of it, when we lost my father and the whole family. That was the worst. After the war, of course, my mother, she couldn't keep us, both children, so she sent me, because we were liberated by the Russians, and we were thankful, but we couldn't live with them either, because they were very wild. After the war, they were very, what war brings into people doesn't bring any good. And they would abuse girls especially, and we didn't have food again. So my mother sent me to her cousins in Bucharest.
You were liberated in Iași by the Russians?
In 1945. And she sent me with, again, strangers. They just pulled a big bus, pulled into where we were there, and they were people from Bucharest, and they took pity on my mother and on the children. And my mother told them that she would want me to go, but she didn't have no money. And she took chances, because how did she know? They were very kind to me. And they took me all the way to Bucharest.
And they is who?
Just people, strangers, which I never met. And my mother took a chance.
Jewish people? Or
no, they weren't Jewish people, no. They were just people, Romanian people. And they took pity, and they said that they would take me, and they would deposit me at my cousin's, which I was so scared when I arrived there that I woke up before they did, and I just took off. I was so scared. I just took off, and I didn't know where I was going.
When you had arrived where you were to arrive, you left there?
I arrived at their house, and they were very nice. They gave me where to sleep and to eat, but I was awful scared. I didn't know the people.
So you didn't stay?
I didn't stay. I ran away. Oh. I took off by myself.
About how old were you?
I was, at that time, 14, or maybe not quite 14. And I just took off, and I asked, I had the address, and I asked, how can I get to this and this place? And it took me a whole day to get there. And when they saw me, they didn't know that I was coming.
Oh, these are your aunts?
No, this was my mother's cousins.
Your mother's cousins.
And I had an aunt there too. And then I remembered exactly, they asked me, where were you? And I remembered exactly to tell them where, because I had just a few little things, nothing to talk about, but they wanted me to go back and thank those people. And I don't know how I remembered exactly where it was, but I just took them there, and I told them that I was sorry, but I was scared.
So you went by yourself. You found your way to this.
Yeah, to my cousins, to my aunt.
And your mother and your brother are still in Iași?
In Iași, and my stepfather, which I mentioned, he knew my mother before she got married. He wanted to marry her before. And when he heard that she lost her husband, he lost his wife, he came to Yash, and he took my mother back to her hometown with my brother. And they got married there. Then my mother wrote to me that they were going to come and get me because we couldn't live under the Russians. They were bad. And we just ran away because we couldn't, again we ran away.
Who was we?
I mean, me, my mother, my brother, my stepfather.
You've gone back now. You've left Bucharest and gone back to where your mother is now?
No, we ran from Bucharest. We ran illegally. Not legal, but illegally away. Because my father left my stepfather left all his business. He had a big business where they were. The name of the town was Tekuch. It was a small town, and my mother, my brother, and me, we started running again.
Well,
and
how much time were you separated from your mother?
From my mother, from 45 till 46, about a year.
But you were able to keep in touch with her?
Oh yeah, sure, yeah, by riding.
And then she came to get you?
She came with my stepfather and brother. And we started running again, just like animals again, just in the nighttime. We couldn't travel like normal people because the Russians wouldn't allow us to run away. So we were traveling in the nighttime in cattle cars and anything that we could. And we wound up in Hungary and Austria, Vienna, Salzburg, and finally we wound up in Germany and in a camp which used to be an army camp, and that was Poking. I spelled it for you.
It's Poking, Germany.
Yeah, because we wanted to go to Israel, but we couldn't. Again, it wasn't legal.
How much time did it take you to get from Bucharest to Germany?
From Bucharest to Germany. I think it took us about 4 or 5 months.
And hiding and
traveling in the nighttime. And they had some kind of camps, illegal camps for this kind of people.
There were other people doing the same thing.
And again, it was dirty and very bad because we slept on top of each other. And
how did you get food?
Food, we had a little bit better food then because they were like kitchen soups, you know, things like that. And we weren't abused, but the life was very, very hard, so we kept on going. We thought that we would wind up in Israel. That's what we wanted to. But again, we weren't allowed legally to go. So they said, you wait in Germany and maybe the time will come when some people left, very, very young people who could travel by foot and who could climb mountains, you know, illegally to Israel from Germany.
What was the reason that you chose to go to this part of Germany? Because the Russians were no longer.
I mean, it was no reason. It's just that that's where we wound up. We didn't know. We didn't have no idea where we're going to wind up. But that's where we wound up, and that was the stop because we couldn't go any farther than that. And they said, you wait here, and will come a time when you'll be able to go to Israel legally. But my mother and stepfather, my brother, they went illegal. They left in 48.
They went to Israel?
To Israel in 48 because the camps started to close, the camps.
This was a displaced person's camp?
Yeah, displaced person. They started to close and people started to leave because they didn't want to stay there no more. And I got married in Germany. That's where I met my husband.
Could you tell us the name of the camp in Germany?
Yeah, Poking. I mean, there were many more after that, but that's where I was with my parents. And that's where I met my husband and got married. And I would have left with my mother, except I was pregnant, and they wouldn't send me with my mother, they wouldn't send me with my husband. So my husband said, we're going to wait till I have the child. And then, by that time, we were in Heidenheim, Germany, by Stuttgart. And 49, that's when our son was born.
What were living conditions like in the DP camp?
And DP camp, it wasn't bad. Then it wasn't bad, no, because we could do whatever we wanted after the war, you know. Then, and I don't know, you probably know about UNRWA, or joint distribution.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had food, of course we didn't have luxuries, but that didn't matter. We had food, we had clothing, we had, you know, a life that nobody would coerce us, or so that was a good life compared to what we had before.
You had your own living quarters,
yeah,
you and your husband?
Like a room, yeah, one room. My parents had one room, you know, and then we had a kitchen all together, like, I don't know how many families, 20 families or something like that. And we just were waiting. And when our son was born in 1949, a law came out that all the people who were liberated in 45 from concentration camps could go to the United States if they want to. And I wrote to my mother and stepfather that what we should do, and they said, of course they want us over there, but life was there very hard, and if we could go to the United States, we should. So we were packed to go to Israel, and then we changed directions. We just came here in 1950.
And your son was how old?
13 months. He was 13 months. And our daughter was born here in 1950.
And then when you landed in the United States, how did you end up where you are now?
We wound up in New York, and our contract was for Hartford, Connecticut. But they said they don't have nothing there for us.
When you say our contract,
yeah, it was, everybody was sponsored, you know, I don't know by whom, by, what's the name? Again, by joint or those kind of UNRWA joint. And they said that we don't have no place there, no work for my husband, nothing. We have to come to Ohio. We didn't know. The only thing we knew, we wanted to be close to New York because we knew that there were a big Jewish population. And Ohio, we didn't know nothing about, but we didn't have no choices. And life here was very hard for us.
Did you end up in Columbus right away?
Because they didn't have nothing here for us either. It was just a... So we started our life here. I mean, now we are thankful, but it wasn't easy.
And you, in Israel, who is still in Israel?
My brother, and I have a niece and a nephew, and my husband has, the only thing what he has left there, he has 4 cousins. 4 in Israel and 1 in New York. That's the only thing what he has left of his family. And I have my brother, and my mother was, but she's not alive anymore. And that's all what I have.
Your husband is from where originally?
From Poland, Częstochowa. Częstochowa.
And you had a second child that was born in
the United States, in Columbus, Ohio.
Columbus.
Yeah, a daughter. And she lives here. And I have grandchildren, of course.
anything else? you'd like to... Oh, can you tell us about the picture you brought?
Oh yes, this is my picture. What I have from from my parents when they got married, and it was left. I found it in Israel from my mother's cousins.
Do you know the date by any chance?
No, I don't. I was thinking last night, and I just. She was born in 1905, and I was born in 1930. So I would think that she was here about, I would say about 22, and my father was probably about 25 or 26.
And it was that was taken in Romania?
Yeah, this was in Iași. Yeah, that's where they got married.
If you want to just glance at your notes, if there's anything else that you want to talk about that we didn't get to.
But I want to say again that I was lucky to have a wonderful stepfather. And my brother was lucky because he didn't remember his father. And we are lucky to be here. And our children have a wonderful life. My husband, his whole life he gave for the family, not for himself, because that was our way of not making sure, you never can make sure, but not that our children won't be lost like we were, without education, without any. We had to struggle.
Okay. Could you put it outside?
It's making a little crinkly sound.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And just continue.
And that was our goal, that our children should have a better life. And I hope that they will never know what we went through.
Well, I thank you very much. If there's anything else you'd like to add?
I thank you. No, I don't think so.